Hey YouTubers, Tim here with today's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 2, Episode 22, Breathe. It's Shades of Grey. Probably one of the most infamous episodes and rated really low on the totem pole. Not because it's a bad episode, and realistically speaking, it's not. So I guess supposedly it takes roughly 5 to 7 days to film one episode of Star Trek, and this episode took 2, maybe 3, I don't remember. This is the dreaded clip episode, which, I don't know, it's one of those things, like every show in the 80s and even into the 90s had to do, maybe even the 2000s, I'd have to look into it, because I feel like Smallville had a clip episode. But yeah, like, long-running shows, which this isn't even at this point, we're only at the end of season 2, have to have those, like, budget-cutting episodes where they're like, well, shit, we ran out of money, what do we do? Well, you know what? We'll have Dr. Polanski, Riker, and Geordi, and that's it, and Troy. And Riker gets sick, he gets, like, bit by something, and so he's, like, reliving memories from the seasons in his subconscious. He's dreaming about them. And hey, look at that. Now we only have 4 cast members, and 90% of the episode is just clips. So it's a rough episode to get through. It's difficult. I usually actually just skip over clip episodes, and I even debated whether or not I wanted to do this, but I felt like it was unfair to skip over it. I mean, if you guys don't like it, just don't watch this episode. Easy. For this one, it is the final appearance of Diane Mulder as Dr. Polanski, because starting with the next episode into season 3, Beverly comes back. Because basically Gates McFadden left the series like, oh, I don't like what you're doing. The show continued on without her, and she's like, well, shit, that didn't work, so she came back. They say Troy calls Riker Imzadi again, which I've lost count. I think we're up to 5 times now, and I mean, you all know by now, like, Imzadi's my favorite. So we got that, and then I never realized this, or I didn't realize it until recently. So there's the Chuck Norris jokes that we all heard, and I mean, they've died down, especially with stuff about Chuck Norris coming out politically, and where there's the joke about how a rattlesnake bit him, and then after 3 long excruciating days the snake died. That joke, I don't know how old that joke is. I mean, for all I know, that joke could be like decades old. But the Chuck Norris thing was the first time I'd ever heard it. Riker tells that joke in this episode. I mean, this episode came out in like 1989, and he's talking about his grandfather and how strong-willed the Riker men are. But yeah, so I thought it was kind of interesting that Will told that joke about, like, it doesn't matter if something bit him because he's comes from a strong family line. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Other than that, like, I got nothing for this episode. It's basically, I actually debated on using clips of my previous videos and making this video out of those clips, because then it would be a clip video, but I'm not that great at editing. So if one of you guys are watching this and you guys want to do it, by all means, go for it. But yeah, otherwise, if you guys have seen that, that is a wrap for season 2. I feel like we've done a lot. We moved through the season really fast. And I mean, goodbye to Dr. Polanski, good riddance, because I don't like her. And then we're moving on into season 3, where I personally think Star Trek The Next Generation finally hits its stride. This is where it basically only goes up from here. So what do you guys think, looking back on season 2, looking forward onto season 3? And I will see you guys next time for the season 3 premiere, Evolution.